to Truth or Politics. I'm your host, Darlene Price, and tonight we're going to cover a couple of topics. First off, we're going to answer back to one of our open records requests on the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department's missing evidence. Not just the money, but the missing evidence. We'll get into that here in a minute. And also we're going to cover the Justice Department. Should it be used as a political tool? I think not. And we're going to cover that on a more of a national scale about what's going on with Donald Trump. And Harvey Meadows, I know you're watching. Hell has frozen over because tonight I'm going to defend Donald Trump. Anybody, for all the new people that are new to the show, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am not a Trump fan. Have not been a Trump fan, but tonight I'm going to make Harvey Meadows' night. I'm going to defend Donald Trump. Before we get started, though, first I want to thank everybody for watching. We want to thank Truth or Politics Pulaski County. My team up there does an amazing job getting me evidence and information, and our killer bees up there behind the scene, our insiders getting us information. We want to thank them very much because they have done a tremendous job in all of this, and we appreciate them and their hard work. Also, we want to thank MBR TV. This is live on Facebook tonight, but it will air broadcast tomorrow on MBR TV. Also, it'll be live on, if you get pulled away for tonight or if the power goes out or something, we will be on YouTube tomorrow. We were also on YouTube, so this will broadcast tomorrow sometime on YouTube. Okay, so, and for our new viewers, thank you very much for showing up. We're welcoming you, and to our longtime viewers, we've been on the air now for 12 and a half, coming up on 13 years, almost 13 years. Oh God, I'm getting old. So we want to welcome everybody and thank you for watching. Okay, let's get this party started, or let's get ready to rumble, or whatever they say. Okay, we did an open records request to the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department on their internal affairs investigation. If you will recall, by the way, these documents tonight, they are posted under the link. Usually I tell people click on the link where the little owl is, and I forgot to do that. So just click on Facebook, you click on that little link, and there's the documents for tonight. The documents I'm going to cover tonight are there, so you can follow along with us. Okay, so for the new people that don't know what's going on, I'm going to have to, let's do a brief... I know my phone does that sometimes. We're using my phone. Those are the Pulaski County. Sorry, Pulaski County Truth or Politics. You're going to hear a do-do-do-do. I hate that thing. And Michael Mann, you need to get rid of that. Stop that once we finish the show. Okay, so back up. All right, Pulaski County Sheriff's Department missing evidence. We're going to start from the beginning. We're going to go through this quickly. Reader's Digest version. Okay, on March 17th, all the way back in 2015. One of the sheriff's deputies, Daryl Cagley, sends a memo to the Pulaski County Sheriff, at that time Greg Speck. Now, let's remember who he is. He is Greg Speck, just left the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department in January. He served 2 terms. He's a former KSP, Kentucky State Police, commander. Okay, so he retired from Kentucky State Police, then became Pulaski County Sheriff's Department. So, in 2015, he gets a memo, and in that memo it says, yo, evidence missing. And we're talking serious evidence missing out of the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department. Okay, this is a swab of blood, tennis shoes. A lot of this is DNA evidence. Tennis shoes with blood, 40 photos with victims, clothing victim wore home. You know, again, DNA evidence, buccal swab, DNA evidence, an iPhone, a Bulova watch, Oakley sunglasses, laptop charger, Bushnell camera, 5 20-gauge rounds. This is all evidence missing starting in 2015, you know, that we know of. It starts in 2015. Okay, so then what happens is in 2021, they find out that, oh, by the way, there's almost $26,000 missing from the evidence too, supposedly from 2 evidence bags, okay? And we've covered all this before. If you want to see more details into this, go back, go to YouTube, just type in YouTube, Pulaski County Missing Evidence, and you're going to see the different shows. And we went into detail for that. Okay, so then in 2021, you got money missing, currency missing, and then you also have 4 pages of more missing evidence. Here's another Here's another memo that went to a Major Hancock, who supposedly, in my understanding, is the second in command of the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office. And this memo, dated February 8th, 2021, went to Major Hancock. And it's and you guys can go and look through this with me, 4 pages of missing evidence. Let me hit some of this evidence again. Again, I know we've already covered this, but it's important for new people to hear this. Again, cell phones, DNA evidence, lab analysis samples, magazines, gun magazines, GSR kits, surveillance videos, AT&T cell phones, a hatchet, all toys, iPhones, clothing, disc of surveillance, item 4321, items belonging to someone, a lot of this DNA evidence, miscellaneous tools, handkerchief with blood on it, again, DNA evidence, cell phones, toolboxes, RCR lanyard, Tupperware style container with something coins, more blood samples.
It's miscellaneous.
Miscellaneous, yeah. Computers, Apple computers, Toshiba satellite laptop, Wyatt Apple MacBooks, all stuff somebody could sell, you know what I'm saying? Amazon Kindles, 3 USB storage devices, TomTom GPS, Apple iPhones. And it's got a bunch of money down through here, totaling $1,442. Now, I think that this is in addition to the almost $26,000 that went missing in these 2 bags. So it's really probably closer to $30,000 all total missing from the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department. It goes on and on and on. Marijuana plant, sample marijuana plant. There's drug. So long and the short of it, you guys got the list. Look at it yourself. You got drugs, DNA evidence, guns, money. The Pulaski County Evidence Room is not being monitored. And so they've known this starting from 2015, 2021. And then, we find out about the money. We blow the case up. We do a story on it. And then the KSP, the sheriff of Pulaski County Sheriff's Department, he only reports in 2022, they know in 2021, he only reports the currency missing from the backs of evidence. At no time does he or anyone else report all this other evidence missing. They still haven't. Okay, how do I know that? Okay, because I hit him with an open records request. And I've got this conversation between, this is a recorded conversation between a former sheriff deputy and Sheriff Speck. And I've posted this before, the last show I posted again, because, they talk about, there's an app in here on these people's phones where they can remotely open the evidence room, which should never happen, ever. Okay, and what it basically looks like is this. How an evidence room is supposed to work, so you can have what's called an appropriate chain of custody. What is a chain of custody? A chain of custody is super important. A chain of custody for a trial, it is so we don't accidentally put innocent people in jail. It shows that evidence is pristine from the field, from the photographs in the field. You have a chain of custody, a log. You have someone signing for it and taking it, whoever the finder is, from the field to the evidence room. At the evidence room, it should not be just one person remotely opening that evidence room or one person in that evidence room, ever. What should happen is an evidence custodian comes out, the cop that's seizing the evidence comes to the evidence room, the chain of custody goes from the cop seizing the evidence to the evidence custodian. There should be a log, logging himself into the evidence room. There should be, they get on the computer. That's fine if you have a computer, as long as you can't change in the computer what the evidence is. Somebody else changed that, which we found out and they admitted to, which is scary, that they can alter the evidence tag, okay? What should happen is an evidence tag should be put on an evidence. The person giving it to the evidence custodian, initials or signs for it, and then it's handed to the evidence custodian. He receives it. There should be a document, an evidence tag, an evidence log showing who in that evidence room got that evidence. Then from there, what normally happens is it goes to a lab, if it's DNA evidence or ballistics or something like that. Okay, from that evidence room, there should be a document there should be, a form showing what date and time and who sent it from that evidence room to the lab. At no time, especially DNA evidence, should DNA evidence sit around for months in any evidence room. Because DNA evidence has, some of you may be too young to remember the O.J. Simpson trial. This is what sunk that case, DNA evidence. First off, the finder was a bigot, and he was proven to be that, so he was kind of not trustworthy, okay, in that case. This is the criminal murder case of O.J. Simpson. But what really also happened was the lab truck that showed up at the scene, who accepted that DNA evidence, because they had a lab truck, okay, they had CSI back then. They showed up, took the evidence directly from the scene, put it in the truck, and then the evidence kind of sat in the truck for a few days or a few weeks. Okay, that's a no-go for DNA evidence. That DNA evidence has to be handled very carefully, it has to be stored very carefully, and it has to very quickly go to a laboratory for testing, okay? And what we found in with the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department is DNA evidence is sitting around for months. Anybody and everybody could have access to the Pulaski County evidence room, because also what we found is they lost the master key. Let me repeat that. They lost the master key to the evidence room, and months later, nobody really knows how long it was lost for, it's found in the trunk of a car, a motor pool car, that anybody and everybody had access to. So access to that evidence room was not controlled. Chain of custody, it was a joke in that evidence room, and still is, apparently, because of the answers they got back, okay? So you have missing evidence, missing money, missing just a mess. They had cases, they had case files missing. This is criminal case files missing in this evidence room. This should never happen, okay? It just should never happen. This is how, and I said it on the last show and I'll say it again, this is how innocent people go to jail, and this is how the guilty go free, is this kind of crap. So what happened was KSP comes in and Kentucky State Police does an investigation, a criminal investigation. And I have already gone into detail about that. Not going to hit that again. The KSP investigation was a joke. It was either the biggest cover-up ever, or the most incompetent investigation ever. The laziness or incompetence or cover-up that went into that investigation is quite frankly appalling. So I hit KSP in Frankfurt, their headquarters, with an open records request, and I got their entire file, the entire investigative file of this KSP investigator. And we have already picked that apart. We've done 2 shows on it. Go and watch that. Okay, so what happened is, because he did such a crappy investigation, the prosecutors would not prosecute anybody. So you actually had suspects in that case. One of the suspects was listed as a suspect, was an investigator, one of the Pulaski County Sheriff's investigators. He was listed as a suspect, and he also flunked the polygraph. At the end of the day, nobody went to jail and nobody got fired. As we sit here today, almost 3 years later, and 8 years later from the time the first missing evidence went missing, nobody's fired, nobody's going to jail. So, what happened was, in the KSP investigation, it's documented by the Kentucky State Police investigator, that a Major Hancock, who was supposedly the second in command of Pulaski County Sheriff's Department, even though nobody's going to jail, he supposedly is going to do an internal affairs investigation. Okay, so that was 6-8 months ago. So I hit them with an open records request on where's mine? Here it is. On March 20th, 2023, I hit the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department with an open records request concerning their internal affairs investigation. And I went through and I sent them all of this missing evidence and the conversation that Glenn Bland had in a recorded call to Sheriff Speck, which I have that recording, and I already transcribed this, and you can see it twice. See it on the stuff I posted today, and the previous show I posted it again, where clearly he's telling them that there is an app on their phones where they can open up this evidence room remotely and let anybody in there, which should never happen, ever. Okay, so they answer back, if you want to call it this, that. I hit them with, what have you done with any of this? Here's what I asked for. Background. Request for records. And I posted this. You guys can read this yourself. Records requested based on the above. Please provide any and all records regarding the internal affairs investigation to the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office has taken to investigate the above mentioned matters. All of this missing evidence and stuff. Please provide any and all records reporting on the reporting of the Pulaski County Sheriff's to any outside investigation on this missing evidence. That's important because to date, nobody, to include the sheriff, has reported this stuff to an outside agency except for this KSP guy has it in his report, and the KSP investigator. He got it. Okay, and that's super important. But nobody from the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office, when they reported the money, when Sheriff Speck reported the money in the police report, he failed to report all this other evidence missing. And to me, that's a big deal. And then KSP knows about this other evidence is missing, and they're still not doing anything about it. Okay, so their answers, which I'm going to go through today, are they repeat the same thing. So I asked the question, hey, give me these records. And their answer is, over and over again, the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office currently has an ongoing internal affairs investigation. Okay, to every question, please provide the records for this. The Pulaski County Sheriff's Office currently conducting an investigation. Please provide any all records regarding your internal affairs investigation to the cell phone apps. And this is the answer here. There is no app that allows access to the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office evidence room, nor has there ever been one to our knowledge. Well, that's not correct because this shows different. So, Mr. Hancock, your reporting back is untrue. And the fact that you don't know this is scary, and you're the one doing the internal affairs investigation. Okay? Clearly, Glenn Bland is telling Speck about this, and clearly there is or was an app to allow remote access to that evidence room. Okay, February 10th. Okay, Pulaski had. Okay, and also I asked him about the master key. What is your investigation into master key? Pulaski County Sheriff is currently conducting an internal affairs investigation, and that's what they keep saying. Also, they had a dog kit missing. Okay. Last fall, when all of this was breaking, okay, guess what else goes missing? I get a call from an insider at the Wayne County Sheriff's Department, and it says, gee, you'll never guess what's they're going to post tomorrow. Wayne County Sheriff's Department, this is a complete different county in Kentucky, because we have people all over the United States. I have friends in California that watch this show. This is a different county in Kentucky. They do a search warrant at a drug dealer's house. What do they find in this search warrant? Oh, gee, guess what? A dog training kit for narcotics. This is a narcotics dog training kit for narcotic sniffing dog. Okay, the official reporting from Wayne County is that they knew that it came from an outside agency, but they wouldn't tell who the agency was. Well, because I have internal contacts with Pulaski County Sheriffs and Wayne County Sheriffs, it was Pulaski County. It was once again the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department. Okay, here's the problem with that. This is actually narcotics. Okay, it's very small amounts, but it's what you use to train a dog. This stuff is also controlled by DEA. You're not allowed to just have this go missing and lost and do nothing about it. Okay, so I hit the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department up with, who have you reported this to in a previous open records request? Their answer back was, we don't have anything. It's under investigation by the Wayne County Sheriff's Department. Oh, okay. That's nice that the Wayne County Sheriff's Department is investigating this. But what is the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department doing with an evidence that with a training kit that's controlled by DEA? Well, I've hit them twice now with an open records request saying, show me something that you reported this to an outside agency. Both times the answer to this one and the previous one, they haven't reported it to anybody. Now, I'm sorry, but you talk about not only negligence or anything else or a flat-out cover-up, you should have a document somewhere showing that somebody in the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department picked up a phone, did a memo, did a police report to an outside agency saying, a narcotics dog training kit went missing. We're reporting this. There should be a requirement for that. By the way, there is one in DEA. DEA requires you to keep hold of these things, and if you don't, you have to report that, okay? After 2 open records requests to Major Heacock, his answer back is, ain't got nothing. They cannot cough up one document anywhere where they did what they were supposed to do and report this to an outside agency. Just like all this other evidence missing. No one ever reported this to an outside agency. Only the currency, because their banking girl, the girl that did all the financing for them, she got wind of this, and I think they knew they had to report the missing money. Okay, that's my opinion. Otherwise, it makes me wonder, would they even report the missing currency? But the 25 or 26,000 that went missing, they had to have that insurance. That was insured. So the CAICO paid, actually the taxpayers paid for that money to be insured for seized assets, okay? So they had to report that. But to date, no one can cough up one single document where prior to the Kentucky State Police coming in and investigating, did anyone report any of this to an outside agency? I find that appalling. And it looks like a cover-up. That's what it looks like. You're trying to cover it up. You don't want anybody to know that DNA evidence has gone missing, bullets have gone missing, drugs have gone missing, all the way since 2015. So, Major Hancock, I'm sorry, I keep saying Heacock, I apologize for that, the second in command of Pulaski County Sheriff's Department. Last fall, I think it was in September, the Kentucky State Police officer said, in his reporting that he's going to be doing an internal affairs investigation. Okay. My question to Major Hancock is, where you been? Okay. The first memo on missing evidence is in 2015. Second memos is 2021. It's 2023. Where the hell you been? How many years do you have to investigate something? Granted, KSP came in and covered it up for you good old boys and their former good old boy state trooper, and that's exactly what happened, and I'm calling it a cover-up because that's what it is, okay? And there's even a question here is, did he slow walk that to affect an election? If you look at the time frame that he got this and how the KSP investigator dragged his feet, there was a primary election going on. So the question is, did he also slow walk that to affect the election? We don't know. All I know is if I was in a primary election and this happened and I lost, I think the other candidate that had a shot at this, I think he should file suit. And he can use all the documents I have to file suit against the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department and KSP for this cover-up or the ultimate negligence in investigating a case. Anyways, so his answer back is, it's still under internal affairs investigation. How many years do you get to investigate something? Since 2015, you've known, absolutely, you cannot deny that you've known about missing evidence from the evidence room. Then again in 2020, was it 2020, 2021? Hang on. Make sure I've got my dates right here. 2021, February 2021 is when they reported the money, but that's also when they found out that the canine training kit's missing. No, the canine training kit I take back is October 2022. My bad. Okay, 2022. But the other missing evidence, let me find that memo. February 2021. So the other 4 pages of missing evidence, DNA evidence, drugs, money, computers, all of this stuff went missing, and you knew about it in 2021, February 2021. Major Hancock. In fact, this memo is to you directly from John Williams, evidence custodian. So Major Hancock, how much longer are you going to take? You know, the citizens of Pulaski County deserve an answer to this. This stuff's dangerous. It's just dangerous. I don't care what anybody else says. If you're new to this show, you don't know what my background is, okay? I've got 35 years as a criminal investigator, first for the prosecution. I'm a retired federal agent, okay? First in the military. I was a captain in the U.S. Army Military Police Corps. I'm going to do this real quickly. And assigned to a criminal investigation unit, which is in the Army back then. That's what CSI was. It's CID, Criminal Investigation Division. I was a captain assigned to that. Okay, so I did a lot of CSI work. Then as a special agent, I worked money laundering and counter-smuggling cases. I was on one DEA narcotics task force after another in Southern California. I worked some of the biggest narcotics cases known to mankind. Okay, then once I was finished playing for the prosecution, now I work as a criminal investigator for defense attorneys. So I have a lot of experience with evidence rooms. I have a lot of experience of how, investigations are supposed to work. This is not how investigations are supposed to work. This is the opposite of how an investigation is supposed to go. It's the opposite of how the KSP should have done their investigation. It is the opposite of how an internal affairs investigation should go. In fact, the question is, should Major Hancock, when he knew about this, he knew about the first evidence in 2015, then he knew in 2021 about the 4 more pages of evidence, and there's not one single document where Major Hancock himself reported that to an outside agency. Not one document where Sheriff Specht reported that to an outside agency. That makes Major Hancock a suspect. I'm sorry, but you're a suspect in the case of the missing evidence. When you don't report it, and it's reported to you, it looks like a cover-up. Also, he had access to the evidence room. Anyone who had access to that evidence room is a suspect. Anyone who knew about the missing evidence and did not go outside that agency and report it, you are a suspect in the cover-up of the missing evidence. So the question is, should a Major Hancock be even involved in an internal affairs investigation when there's a huge conflict of interest here, to say the least? I'm being kind when I say conflict of interest, okay? And in one of his other answers, they talk about where I'm at, 628. One of his other answers, he talks about there are no apps on the phones. Okay, folks, I posted this. I put headphones on because the actual recording, this is a recorded phone call. Sheriff Specht, the money goes missing. This is the 25 to 26 grand of dollars that's missing, apparently from 2 evidence bags, okay? Sheriff Specht calls Mr. Bland, who was a former Pulaski County Sheriff deputy and evidence custodian, asking him, hey, do you know what's going on here? Where could this evidence be? Okay? In that conversation, Bland records the conversation between himself and Specht. And what is very interesting, hold on, I'm trying to find where, okay. On page 7 of this conversation, Specht, what about talking to these inaudible or whatever they are? I don't know what they are called. Okay, he's talking about these apps. Bland. What they were, Sheriff, is they were what you would call trouble walkers. And Specht interrupts him. What was that for? Bland says, in case someone had not done inaudible home, where we didn't have the evidence custodian there all the time. In other words, the evidence custodian was at home. Basically, what you could do was you could use an app to open those locks, like if someone would call me, told me someone, hey, your evidence is not right. Spec says, kind of like a something locker. Excuse me. Sorry. Bland, yes, yeah. See, I could open the locker, or Daryl could open that locker from their phone. But now all of that, and then Spec interrupts and says, like, what's on your work phone? Bland, it was on my work phone, and it was on Daryl's work phone, and we never did switch that back. Okay, clearly, Bland is telling Spec, yes, there was an app on their phones where they could remotely open this evidence room. And so Major Hancock, the same Major Hancock, excuse me, allergies, that knew about all of this missing evidence in 2015, 2021, is trying to act like this doesn't exist. The same Major Hancock that did not report this and had a duty to report this. Let me say this again. Once the second in command of the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department, Major Hancock, and the sheriff at that time, Spec, former KSP commander, knew about all of this missing evidence, knew about this app, knew that there was a master key missing. In that police report, to the initial police report to the Kentucky State Police, where they reported the money missing, also what absolutely he had a duty to report was that the fact that the master key was missing, and these people had apps, and he should have reported all of that, especially this 4 or 5 pages of missing evidence. That was not done. To me, that in itself is ultimately a cover-up and potentially a crime in and of itself. Failure to report. There's something critically wrong with that, and they got away with it. So far, they've gotten away with it. And Hancock, not only has he gotten away with not reporting this stuff like he should have, now he's trying to deny an app, which clearly did exist, okay, according to Bland and Spec in this phone call. But also, he's the head of the Internal Affairs investigation. You folks in Pulaski County have a right to know what really happened here. You really do. You pay a lot of tax dollars to this police department, and this has got to be, this is dangerous. This is a cover-up. This is my BS meter, pagan, with Major Hancock's answers back to this open records request. It is absurd. KSP, the feds need to come in and investigate this whole thing. They need to investigate the KSP cover-up of this. The federal government needs to come in and investigate this, because this is just, it's dangerous. That's what it is. When this kind of evidence, DNA evidence, ballistic evidence, evidence logs, in the KSP report, they're having conversations, and the KSP investigator discloses in his report that there's logs missing. There's case files missing. This stuff just... I'm laughing to keep from crying. This is a huge breach in chain of custody of evidence for anything and everything that's gone through that evidence locker. It's appalling. And to me, it's criminal. Somebody should be fired or going to jail for this. Period. End of story. And nobody has. And the taxpayers of Pulaski County, you guys should be just really angry and demanding an answer to this, because these answers of Major Hancock are just BS. They're BS. Okay? Oh, and he's still under investigation. Well, again, 2015, Major Hancock, you got the first memo, you and Spec. 2021, you got the second memo. You've known all of these years that this evidence room is a joke, it's a disaster, and you're still investigating. Not to mention another 6 months after KSP closed their investigation. I think it was September of 2022. 6 months ago. Let's see, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. 6 months ago. So how much longer are you going to take? Let me take a guess here. He's going to find nothing. They're going to keep this internal affairs investigation open for forever so they don't have to answer for any of this. No one has to answer for this. And they don't have to turn over any documents. Okay? Or not. Because guess what? My next move is to send all of this to the Attorney General's office. Because guess what? The criminal case is closed, and I'm willing to bet the Attorney General's office is going to make you turn over some documents or show that you've done something in this internal affairs investigation. I'm willing to bet they have nothing because they've done nothing because this is a huge cover-up. That's what it is. And I'm real comfortable now saying this is a cover-up of gargantuan proportions that the taxpayers of Pulaski County should find appalling. Okay, moving right along. I think we covered that pretty good. We're going to go into our next topic. I probably missed something on that. Did I miss anything on that, Michael Mann?
Well, what about the people that got pulled over that had the drug kit?
Oh, yeah. Oh, the narcotics sniffing kit? Well, that was found in a warrant at a drug dealer's house.
Yeah, that's right, but then they pulled them over.
You're talking about Major Hancock's stepson. Another reason Major Hancock probably shouldn't be doing this internal affairs investigation. Follow that. I forgot about that. Okay, so Major Hancock's stepson gets pulled over. He has enough meth for I'm pretty sure my memory's correct. Enough meth for possession for sale. But he walks. Serves no time in jail for that crime. Okay? At the same time, the same prosecutor up there, Mr. Dalton, is trying to put a shoplifter in jail for, what, was it $80 for shoplifting? For 5 years. After he receives, I think it was $40,000 in a grant from Lowe's and Walmart, AKA bribe. Okay, so shoplifter gets, he's trying, in that case, he made that case. The Court of Appeals came back twice and said, no, you can't do that. It doesn't meet the threshold of the crime and everything else. He makes that case at your tax dollars' expense, go all the way to Kentucky Supreme Court. Okay, that cost money, folks, taking a case to the Supreme Court. A lot of tax dollars involved there. Okay, and the Supreme Court comes back and says the same thing. You can't put a shoplifter in jail for 5 years for $80 of shoplifting. Okay, at the same time, Major Hancock, the internal affairs investigator on this, missing evidence, his stepson takes a walk when he's got possession for sale for meth. He was later caught in another county with more drugs and ended up going to jail anyway, but it just shows the Pulaski County, look, I want to believe most of the cops up there are honest. They are. In fact, how do you think I'm getting a lot of this information? Okay, honest cops hate this. Honest cops that work their butt off, they're not the ones getting the good assignments. They're not the ones getting promoted. They're the ones that's getting shoved aside. Okay, who's getting promoted, who's getting the good assignments, the investigator assignments, that kind of thing, are the wink wink good old boys who are willing to go along to get along. Kiss the Don's ring. That is so dangerous. That smacks of absolute corruption. And that's what this looks like. Okay, the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department, it appears as though you have an absolute corrupt police department, and it's not all the cops. And the good cops are sick of it. They're sick of it, and rightfully so. And they're getting shoved aside, and they're being, if they do report something, because I've talked to people, they're silenced. Okay, they put themselves in a position, well, I better shut up or I'm going to lose my job, or I'm not going to get this promotion. I've seen this over and over. I literally wrote the book on it. I was a whistleblower for you people who are just now coming to this show. I blew the whistle myself and a whole task force and a federal prosecutor. We had a whole team, including a federal prosecutor, that blew the whistle on the United States Customs Service, who the corrupt managers allowed in 25 to 40 tons of narcotics in a railroad tanker cars, 5 railroad tanker cars. Okay, I wrote the book on it. What happened to us? We became targets by Internal Affairs, which was corrupt too, and that corrupt agency. The book is called Bordergate, the story the government doesn't want you to read. That's the name of my book, Bordergate. I literally wrote the book on blowing the whistle in a law enforcement agency and what happened to all of us who did that. Okay, this stuff's dangerous. It smacks of corruption, and Major Hancock should not be the one doing an internal affairs investigation. In my humble opinion, we need to bring the feds in to the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department and do a real investigation, because KSP has obviously covered this up for their good old boys. And even there's a question to do it to affect a sheriff's election. Okay, done with that. Anything else I missed? Michael Mann's back there. He knows what my memory is like nowadays. Okay, now we're going to get into something else. When the justice system is used as a tool to play politics, and you know that's what has happened here at the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department, in my humble opinion. Now let's broaden this out to the federal level. Why this is dangerous. Most of you know that have watched this show for years. We have a big following. People have watched this show for years. We've been on the air now for almost 13 years, 12 years and 6 months now. I'm not a Donald Trump fan. Never have been. Threw him under the bus many times. However, hell is about to freeze over because I'm going to defend Donald Trump. And here's why. When a Justice Department cherry picks who they're going to indict, who they're going to go after, and it's done to affect an election or it's done based on politics, that is a dangerous thing. It's dangerous at the city level. It's dangerous at the county level. It's dangerous at the state level. And it's dangerous at the federal level. Now, Nancy Pelosi was quoted the other day in reference to Donald Trump being indicted. She said this. This is the third in command at one point of our country. Nancy Pelosi. Okay? She said that Donald Trump will have a chance to prove his innocence. Okay. Whether you like Nancy Pelosi or not, she needs to go back and understand what our United States Constitution really meant when you have an opportunity to defend yourself, okay? You are innocent in the United States till proven guilty. You are presumed innocent. From the time somebody indicts you at a trial, at every step, Donald Trump is innocent right now. He's innocent in indictment. Whether I like him or not, okay, I think he's a big crook. It would take me hours to go into all the reasons why I don't like Donald Trump. But as we sit here today, he's innocent. He's presumed innocent. When he goes in front of a jury, if it goes in front of a jury, he's presumed innocent, okay? Here's the problem I got with this New York-based prosecutors going after Donald Trump now. Let's go back in time. We're going to go a little walk down history's lane. Back when Donald Trump was a liberal Democrat, before he ran for president, and yes, to the shock and awe of many of you Donald Trump lovers out there, Donald Trump was a liberal New York Democrat. Do your homework, okay? Back then, he owed all kinds of people money. He stiffed a bunch of contractors. He was running a bogus school. He had I don't know how many lawsuits going on. He could have been indicted back then with many things, okay? He was a criminal back then. What was the difference? He was donating heavily to all the New York liberals in New York. He was a big friend of Hillary. He went to Hillary's daughter's wedding. He attended all the right elbow-rubbing, clans, donated to all the right people, and the Department of Justice turned a blind eye to everything Donald Trump did. That's a fact, okay? Sorry, but that's a fact. He was fine with the Democrat Party and with the prosecutors in New York when he was a Democrat. donating to the right Democrat Party. Now all of a sudden, he's a crook. He's a crook, and what they're indicting him on is paying, for the first time, he actually pays somebody. He stiffs all these people for all this money. He finally pays somebody, and you're going to indict him. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but it is kind of, you got to admit, this is kind of funny. That's what you're indicting him on. Do you know how many people on Capitol Hill could be indicted for similar things? Oh my God. The list is too long, okay? When the justice system cherry picks who they're going to indict, who they're going to investigate based on politics, that's dangerous. It's dangerous to our justice system. It's dangerous to our political system. And I believe that's what's going on here. It absolutely is what's going on here. And the fact that Nancy Pelosi said he has to prove himself innocent, scary that she said that statement. You know, that's not how it goes in the United States of America. Donald Trump, as we sit here today, is innocent. He is to be presumed innocent, period. Also by the media. Okay, I know I have my personal feelings about Trump, but as I sit here today, the truth is he's innocent. It's up to the state of New York and the prosecutors to prove him guilty. Now, let me switch gears for a minute. Let's juxtapose this and what Donald Trump, what they're cherry picking, going after Donald Trump for. And I don't want to hear, oh, well, nobody's above the law. Nobody's above the law. Really? Nobody's above the law. Well, apparently some people in the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department are above the law. And apparently, let's go back under the Obama administration, because we covered this ad nauseum, because this really pissed me off. Let's go back to 2011 and 2012, the HSBC bank scandal. Okay, what happened? Remember this? Too big to jail. We have one of the largest banks in the world. It was, called the World Bank, the HSBC Bank. In USA, they have banks everywhere. They were caught, and they had even admitted to money laundering for some of the most dangerous cutthroat narcotics cartels ever. And to the fact, how much they, for one cartel, hang on a minute. Oh, hold on. I want to get this right. Sorry. $881 million to cartels, including the Sinaloa cartel and the Colombia's Norte del Valle cartel. Okay. Folks, I worked these cartels. I worked some of the biggest money laundering cases there is. I was a part of Operation Green Ice. Go look at that. It was a DEA-led, Customs-led, huge FBI, narcotics, counter-narcotic smuggling and money laundering case. One of the biggest. I'm telling you, we put a lot of people over my year, not just me, my task forces, okay? We put a lot of people in prison for money laundering. We're talking bank CEOs. We had an undercover bank going. People went to prison for laundering money. A lot less than $881 million. So the HSBC bank gets caught by the federal government laundering money not only for the cartels, but also for terrorist organizations, Al-Qaeda. Okay? What does the Obama administration do? And who was the attorney for the Obama administration? Remember, Eric Holder. He came out because people were mad, okay? These guys got to go to jail. Because it came out in that investigation that the feds actually uncovered that these CEOs, a lot of them knew this was going on. In fact, they were getting bonuses. Their bonuses were tied to this money laundering stuff. So the more money they laundered for these cartels, and they knew it, they knowingly did this, okay? And the more money they laundered for Al-Qaeda, they got bigger bonuses. So they turned a blind eye. They didn't turn a blind eye. They just did it. They committed felonies, big time, that other people have gone to jail for. But because it was one of the biggest banks, and Eric Holder, the Attorney General for the United States under Obama, said, too big to jail. And guess what happened to them? They entered an agreement. Let me read this. The headquarters of McLean, Virginia, this is headquarters where the bank was, have agreed to forfeit $1.256 billion, so $1.2 billion, entered a deferred prosecution agreement with the Justice Department for the HSBC's violations of the Bank Secrecy Act and the EPPA. These are all violations of laws, okay? Which, in other words, they were money laundering. And they were doing it in Cuba, Iran. They were money laundering through Iran. Remember the Iran-Contra scandal? Libya, Sudan, Burma, all of these countries had sanctions. They committed multiple crimes, these bank CEOs, multiple crimes. But because it was a bank, kind of like corporations around here in the United States, you know, if you're DuPont, and if you've been following what we've been talking about up there in Lake Cumberland, and you got a mayor and his minions up there poisoning a lake, okay, and potentially letting C8 created by DuPont has poisoned millions of people. And guess what? Because DuPont's a corporation, they paid fines. Nobody went to jail. And there's evidence showing that DuPont knew that they were poisoning people. Overwhelming evidence. Department of Justice went after them. Department of Justice, because it's a corporation, they paid a fine. HSBC, their fines only equaled 2 months of profits. Let me repeat that. The HSBC fines for these CEOs who became above the law in the Obama administration under Eric Holder, they had to pay fines, not out of their pockets, by the way. Not out of their pockets. The bank did, okay? Paid, and it was record, they said record fines. Well, big whoop. Nobody went to jail. There's a hell of a lot of people sitting in jail right now on Operation Green Ice and all these other money laundering operations that the feds have done and put people in prison for money laundering. A lot less money than what this bank has laundered, not to mention laundering money from Al-Qaeda. A terrorist organization. Nobody goes to jail. Okay. Why am I bringing that up? Because guess what? Guess where one of the big corporate places for the HSBC Bank was? One of the big headquarters. Sitting right there in New York City. Right there in New York City. Right where these prosecutors were and federal prosecutors were that could have gone after the CEOs and everything right there in New York. You know, the same prosecutors and the offices, maybe not the exact prosecutors because this was a while ago, but the same offices that could have gone after these bankers and put them in prison and should have, and absolutely should have. So you can launder money for Al-Qaeda, millions of dollars. You can launder money for the cartels, so you can pocket your money and make all of these, you know, big bonuses. And the New York justice system turns a blind eye to that, but now they're going after Donald Trump for paying a hooker off. Let's call her a porn star. Is it a hooker or a porn star? I get mixed up.
I think she's a porn star.
Porn star. Think about that, folks. Think about that. Too big to jail. To me, this was critical. This HSBC scandal was one of the biggest criminal get-out-of-jail-free cards ever, done under the Obama administration by the Democrats, which Eric Holder said too big to jail. And now look what's happening. Oh, we're going to bail out a bunch of banks again. Again. We're bailing out a bunch of banks again. You are, taxpayers, while Donald Trump gets indicted. Okay, do you see what I'm talking about here? Am I making my point, Michael Mann? Just to pose. When the justice system is political, oh, by the way, there's another reason the powers that be turned a blind eye to the HSBC scandal. It's because guess what else the HSBC Bank did a lot of? Oh yeah, donate millions of dollars to political campaigns on both sides of the aisle. Both sides of the aisle. This comes down to campaign finance reform, which I've been hitting over and over and over and over again. The Justice Department is compromised because we don't have strong laws on campaign finance reform. Okay, we used to pay to play, which is what's also going on in Somerset up here, by the way, Pulaski County. When pay to play becomes legal, we're screwed. When you can buy your way into contracts, when you can buy your way into a political party, when you can buy your way out of jail because of donations, we have a real problem. The other problem is the media. The mainstream media is compromised. You know, this is not okay. It's not okay for the Justice Department to cherry pick Donald Trump and leave these guys go. To me, this was worse. You know, let me repeat this. These guys laundered money, millions of dollars, for Al-Qaeda. Hello? Do we not remember 9/11? This is not okay. And then they're going to cherry pick and go after Donald Trump. I think when you juxtapose this, the Justice Department looks like it's political. It's bought off one way or the other. And it's cherry picking who or why they go after people. That's dangerous. It's how people like Jim Fowler, I know you're watching tonight. Jim Fowler, you know, this is at the state level. Well, they went after him at the federal level too, and we got the case dismissed. First time ever that a sitting judge and a sitting prosecutor dismissed a case against the FBI with prejudice, okay, because it was political. They were trying to silence a whistleblower. So this comes back personal to me, because when the justice system at the federal level can get away with this, and the media does not hold them accountable, when the justice system at this level can let money launderers get away with stuff, and when the justice system at the state level lets the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department get away with this, this has become a dangerous, dangerous thing. And people have told me, oh, it's always been like that. It's always been like that. Well, you know, I think this country is what we make it. And I think we need to point this stuff out. This is not okay. It's not okay. And again, not a Trump fan. Not a Trump fan. And everybody who knows me knows, not a Trump fan. But this is political, them going after him. The timing's political. And I want to see these same prosecutors go after these guys, this HSBC bank stuff, which, by the way, which just is, this was criminal what the Justice Department did, letting these guys off the hook. Just like they let DuPont off the hook, poisoning millions of people. Just like Pfizer in the past was let off the hook, poisoning millions of people in the Justice Department because it's a company, they paid a fine. Nobody went to jail. We live in dangerous times when the justice system at the state level, at the county level, at the federal level can be compromised like this. We live in dangerous times. And I think it's up to us to hold people accountable. And back to the Pulaski County citizens, you deserve an answer to this. And I'm going to keep trying to get you one. Let's see, what did I miss? Local, federal, HSV bank. I think I covered it all. All right, I know you guys have been after us and after us and after us to do a call-in show, and I apologize because we haven't done one. We have a glitch right now at our television station where we do these call-in shows at, because they switch internet companies and something happened, and I'm not technical enough. Maybe Michael Mann, can you help me out here? What happened? I forget.
I don't know.
So they switch internet companies down here, and it messed everything up. And also they had a lightning strike not too long ago over there. So we are hoping at least by next month to get up and have a call-in show, because I know you guys, I've been promising you a call-in show, and I humbly apologize, and we appreciate you guys sticking with us on this. And we are out of time, folks. We want to again thank everybody on Facebook land for following us. We want to thank people on YouTube tomorrow when it's posted, and we want to thank NBR TV folks. You will see this tomorrow. We just can't call in. We can't do a live show until we get the technical problems worked out at our television studio. So, folks, we want to thank you. We will keep following up on this. We are going to send this to the State Attorney General's office to see if they will come down and investigate this, because because somebody needs to look into this. I'm also going to send this to some friends of mine in the feds and see if the feds can come in and look at this, because I think it's bad. I think this really at the county level, this needs to be investigated, and I'm going to do what I can to get you those answers. But you, the taxpayers, too. You, the taxpayers, can be calling, like the newspaper up there that only cover the money missing. Nobody else is covering all this other evidence missing. You, the taxpayers, can call, your county judge executive and tell them, hey, I want something done about this. You, the taxpayers, can call Kentucky State Police and say, hey, what up with this? Open this case back up. Do a real investigation. I'm just one person, and I'm going to keep trying. I'm not going to give up. But you, the taxpayers, can be proactive too, because this is your tax money going to this department, and evidence is going missing. Anyways, we thank you. We will see you next time on Truth or Politics. Thanks.